chance to hear it, so let her tell it. People on the streets say Sabrina speaks. Tune into the show, she will let you know. Tell all your friends and family. Real talk is no joke. You get the news straight up from grassroots and concerned. You hear some people gone. So tell all your friends to tune in.
Good evening, Cayman. I'm Sabrina Turner, and welcome to Sabrina Speaks, your daily dose of clarity, truth, and community insights. Every weekday from 5 to 6:30 p.m., we're tackling the issues that affect you, from national headlines to grassroots concerns. Whether you're in traffic or winding down your day, this is your chance to hear it straight and speak your truth. So buckle up, Cayman. We're not holding back.
This is the show. We gotta let you know. Now we got to go.
And now here's Sabrina.
Da-da, there I am. Welcome, one and all. It's good to be back with you on this Hump Day Wednesday. How have your midweek been going thus far? Hoping that you're having a very productive week and looking forward to the weekend, and more so as we head into the Easter break. And with everything that's going on, it's good to be back. Welcome to another episode of Sabrina Speaks. Voices of the Islands, conversations for the world, and the podcast where voices rise, stories unfold, and inspiration takes center stage. For those of you joining me for the first time, I'm Sabrina. Yes, and it's good to be back with you here for another engaging, informative episode of Sabrina Speaks. This Wednesday, just to set the tone, to let you know what we're discussing today. Because we really go hard sometimes. But yes, this Wednesday, today, we're going a little deeper than headlines and really the everyday noise. I want to take this episode, and of course, you're all pleased to join in and give me all of your feedback. I want to be talking a little about patterns that we inherit, and the ones that we repeat without even realizing, and the ones that we finally decide to break. Yeah, that's the one. From the way we communicate with, even in our families, to the way that we show up in our workspaces, to the way we even participate in our community and civic life. Patterns, my friends, I'm finding out shapes everything. And right here in Cayman, it's at a moment where many of us are feeling the shift. Yeah, personally, socially, and collectively. And people are asking harder questions. Yeah. People are also choosing clarity over confusion. And I'm noticing that people are ready to grow, even when it's uncomfortable. That's the big takeaway. So this episode is about that courage. Yes, the courage to say, this ends with me. The courage to build people instead of breaking them. And the courage to create a Cayman where honesty, accountability, and compassion is not exception, but their expectations. Yeah. The courage to create a Cayman where honesty, accountability, and compassion are not exceptions, their expectations. That's profound. And I'm hoping that we'll unpack, some stories, real experiences as well, And I'm quite sure you will be WhatsApping me. Thank you for all the WhatsApp messages that we've been getting. You've been on point as well. All the questions right here. And it's no different. 345-936-8255 is the number to call to join in. Send your WhatsApp. Or you want to join us live. We're here from 5 until 7. Yes, no politics, no sides. Just truth, civic education, and the kind of conversation that helps us rise a little higher in our society. But remember, the content you're about to hear, including any discussions or opinions from myself, guests, and our participants, is intended solely for general informational and entertainment purposes. It's not a substitute for professional legal, medical, or financial advice. I encourage you to consult with a qualified professional regarding any specific concerns. Bridge Media Limited and all its affiliates disclaims all liability for any decisions or actions taken in reliance on the information presented. Yes, it's good to be back. I see you all. I see you. I see you all coming in. Now, don't you worry. Make sure you share this link and let them know we're live. And today, like no other day, just like we do it here, informative, engaging, and definitely inclusive. But before we get started, you know how we roll. Let's take a look at this evening's weather. Compliments of the Cayman Islands National Weather Service. Now, a stationary front located across the Northwest Caribbean, accompanied by prefrontal trough, will continue to support cloudy conditions with showers and thunder at times through the next 24 hours, mainly across the sister islands. From later Thursday, these features will slowly drift east and conditions are expected to become more settled by the night as the weak cold front moves across the area. Northern westerly swells are expected across the islands, though through at least Saturday. Now, the forecast for the night calls for partly cloudy skies with scattered showers and isolated thunder. Showers will become locally heavy at times. Temperatures will fall near the mid-70s. Winds will be north to northeast, 5 to 10 knots across Grand Cayman, and southerly for the sister islands before veering northerly after midnight. Seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet, and swells are likely along northern and western coast. Now, there is a thunderstorm advisory that remains in effect, even though it will be lifted on Thursday afternoon. The forecast for tomorrow calls for cloudy skies with a 60% chance of showers and isolated thunder through the morning, mainly across the sister islands. Temperatures will rise near the mid to low 80s, and winds will be northerly 10 to 15 knots. Seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. Swells are likely along the northern and western coast. There'll be a high tide at 9:30 this evening, a low at 3:29 a.m. Sun will set this evening at 6:35 and sun will rise tomorrow morning at 6:30. Now, the outlook is for a ridge of high pressure to build across the Northwest Caribbean by Friday, maintaining some drier and settled conditions. Northern and westerly swells are likely to persist through the latest on Saturday. So there you have it. That's your weather forecast for this evening and definitely into the weekend. Hello, hello, hello. It's good to have you joining me. Welcome, welcome to another episode of Sabrina Speaks. It's good to be back here with you. Now we'll just turn it over to what's making news for us locally and definitely in the Caribbean. Local news. We begin with emergency preparedness. Now, Cayman joined countries across the region today for the annual Carib Wave tsunami exercise. Hazard Management Cayman Islands says that the drill tested communication system, evacuation procedures, and public readiness. Schools, businesses, and community groups will take part tomorrow. This is for tomorrow, helping strengthen the country's ability to respond quickly in the event of a real tsunami threat. So this is happening tomorrow, March the 19th at 10 a.m. And you're encouraged to download the NEMS app today. So you can go on Cayman prepared. You can see all of the instructions there, and definitely be aware of that exercise that's happening here tomorrow. Okay, so we don't want anyone taking by surprise if you already got the NIMS app and you hear your phone going off. That's really what's going on tomorrow at 10 o'clock. In other local news, in Georgetown, Caymanian artist Mr. Al Ebanks has unveiled a new public sculpture titled Shell at Central Scanton Park. Now, the abstract steel and concrete piece is part of a multi-million-dollar upgrade to the park and was commissioned by the Cayman Islands government. Now, Al's a co-founder of the Native Sons Collective, says the work is meant to inspire community connection and celebrate Caymanian creativity. Congratulations to Al, one of our local own, and just what it's going to do to that space is amazing. Yes. Now, a landmark national study has been launched to determine how many people in Cayman are living with lupus. Doctors, hospital, and local specialists say that this is the first research of its kind on island, and it is aimed at improving early diagnosis, treatment, and long-term support for patients. Also in local news, Cayman is gearing up to host Group D of the CONCACAF International Friendly Series later this month. Teams from the Bahamas, the British Virgin Islands, and Anguilla will compete at the Truman Bodden Sports Complex, and Cayman faces the BVI on March 26th and the Bahamas on March 29th. Both kickoffs will be at 7 p.m. So let's go out and celebrate and cheer them on. Yes, you know what that brings to our country? And that's sports tourism right there for you. And keeping it in the line of sports, baseball fans, especially from Venezuela, are celebrating a historic moment. Yes, Venezuela has won its first ever World Baseball Classic title, defeating Team USA 3-2 in a dynamic finale in Miami. Now, Eugenio Suarez delivered the game-winning RBI double in the top of the ninth, sealing the victory and igniting celebrations from Caracas to Miami. The win was so monumental that Venezuela even declared a national holiday to mark the achievement. I know we have a lot of baseball fans out there, but definitely if you're from Venezuela, you're definitely feeling the love. And, you know, this is historic for you. We celebrate for you. I watched it at the end last night, and it was amazing to see how emotional the players got, grown men. You just see them getting so overwhelmed with joy, accomplishment, just a sense of pride. It was just amazing to watch the emotions of joy and pride, despite everything that they're going through right now. Congratulations to you guys. Good win. Yeah. Now, over in other Caribbean news, the government of St. Lucia is pushing back against claims that it has a formal agreement with Cuba for the provision of medical personnel. Now, Prime Minister Philip Perry clarified that while Cuban doctors are currently working on the island, they are hired directly by the Ministry of Health and paid like any other medical staff. He stressed that there is no signed contract with the Cuban government for doctors, despite ongoing speculation. Also, in Antigua and Barbuda, the West Indies Oil Company is urging residents to stop panic buying LPG cylinders after a sudden spike in demand sparked fears of shortages. WOIC says the island has more than enough supply with no disruptions, no cylinder shortages, and no plans for any price increases. Now, officials say the rush was driven by speculation, not reality, and are asking the public to purchase only what they need for normal household use. Yes, and just keeping it into the Caribbean, Grenada has officially signed access to the United States seafood market after updating its national fisheries regulation to strengthen protections for marine mammals. The United States suspended imports on January 1st when Grenada's laws failed to meet Marine Mammal Protection Act standards. Now, in response, the government passed the Fisheries Marine Mammals Regulations 2025, banning the international killing or harassment of marine mammals and requiring fishers to report accidental bycatch. U.S. regulators have now confirmed that Grenada's updated system meets all requirements. So that's keeping it serious and see what it does from national perspective. And keeping it into the Caribbean and over to Jamaica. Jamaica's opposition leader, Mark Golding, is again challenging the government tax strategy during his contributions to the 2026-2027 budget debate. Golding says Jamaica doesn't need new taxes. It needs to fix what he calls massive leakage in the system, arguing billions are being lost through poor compliance. He also renewed his calls for healthier tax measures, including removing GCT from bottled water instead of adding new burdens on consumers. Also, business leaders in Jamaica are responding positively to opposition leader Mark Golding's proposal for a tax moratorium for new small businesses. Golding outlined a plan during the 2026-2027 budget debate, saying a 3-year break from corporate taxes would help formalize the informal economy and boost productivity. Entrepreneur groups say the idea could ease startup pressures and encourage more Jamaicans to launch legitimate enterprises. But they stress the policy must be carefully designed to ensure long-term sustainability. Yes, so you see, there's not much difference between our neighbors and right here with everything that's going on in the world. Let's go across the pond. King Charles has welcomed Nigerian President Tinubu to Windsor Castle for the UK's first Nigerian state visit in 37 years. The President and First Lady received full ceremonial welcome from senior royals ahead of state banquet. Now, the historic 2-day visit marks a major diplomatic movement between the United Kingdom and Africa's most populous nation. There you go. Also, latest on the update from the United Kingdom, where health officials in the United Kingdom are warning of an unprecedented, this what is being called now, unprecedented and explosive meningitis outbreak. Yes, centered in Kent. 2 people have died and up to 20 cases are now under investigation, with the BBC reporting this is the fastest growing outbreak doctors have ever seen. Thousands of students are being urgently offered vaccines as the situation continues to develop. So this is the latest right now. Young baby was admitted just moments before we went live, and we'll definitely keep our eye on this developing stories, understanding how closely we are connected, and a lot of our students are over there. There is a local message from our Minister of Education that has pretty much giving, some ease and letting our people know here, our nation know what is being done from this side of things and making sure that we keep our students that are over there safe. Yes. So also in UK news, as we wind down this segment here today, a new public poll in the United Kingdom shows Bretonians overwhelmingly reject the Bank of England plans to remove Winston Churchill from the £5 note and replace historical figures with native wildlife. Now, while the bank says the redesign follows a national constitution that favored nature-themed currency, many citizens view the move as unnecessary and politically charged. Critics argue Churchill's legacy should remain on the nation's money, even as the bank pushes ahead with overall other wildlife for the next series. We will keep an eye on this developing story as well. And more news for those who are just not wanting plastic. And I thought it was very important for me to share this. Scientists are developing a new biodegradable plastic made with cassava starch that could dramatically reduce ocean population. Now, unlike petroleum-based plastic, this plant-derived material dissolves in water, breaks down naturally, and doesn't release harmful microplastics. Researchers say it's even safe for marine life to ingest, making it a promising alternative for single use packaging. With billions of plastic bags used every year, cassava based bioplastics could be a major step towards cleaner rivers, healthier oceans, and a plastic free future. Let me know what you think about that. I thought it was quite interesting and definitely a welcome change for sure. Yes. Good evening, everyone. Welcome as you roll on in. It's so good to be here with you this evening as we wind. We're in the middle of the week. It's Hump Day Wednesday. Yeah. Hope your afternoon is going well. I'm getting some images to share with you all here because someone definitely celebrated St. Patrick's Day yesterday. So you know why they couldn't comment yesterday? Because they were all decked out. And I've gotten permission to share these images with you. That's why I love y'all so much. You just keep it all real here on Sabrina Speaks. And I must say, I'm loving it. I'm loving what I'm seeing for sure. But happy birthday to everyone who is actually celebrating a birthday today, wedding anniversaries as well, the whole 9 yards. Congratulations to you all. And definitely happy birthday as well. From all of us here on the Sabrina Speaks show, yep, we want to wish you nothing but the best. And once we know about it, we share it. Yeah. Oh, there is something I need to update you guys on that's happening tonight that slipped me yesterday to remind you. This is happening this evening. There is a farmers meeting that's happening this evening at 7:00 at the pavilion. So this is where anyone who's into the farming, they will be able to meet with the Ministry of Agriculture, Planning and DEH, and it's hosted by the Agricultural Society. So yes, this meeting is taking place this evening, even though this flyer was yesterday. It is for this evening. It slipped me yesterday. So please forgive me for that. Yes, if you're wanting to know more, please go down there at the pavilion of Agricola Way this evening. There's a meeting scheduled for 7 hosted by the Agricultural Society. Meet the Ministry of Agriculture, Planning and DEH. So that's taking place this evening, okay? This evening. So please. Also, nominations are open for the Proud of Them. We want to keep you up to date on that with what's happening in the community. And also coming up here, who loves to attend Red Sky at Night? Yeah, that's taking place March 21st, this weekend from 4 to 11 at the Harkwell Theater grounds. And you go down there and you entertain with live music, lots of entertainment, lots of local crafts, arts, products, local foods. There's also going to be a kids' corner. I have attended this. I've actually hosted one of these. And let me tell you, that was fun. It was really fun. That was during, I think, lockdown, where the world was locked down. And here we were living free, moving around freely with no restrictions whatsoever. And, I'll never forget it. That was a very good experience for me, a memorable occasion for me. And I really had a good time. So, yeah, that's taking place this weekend. Please don't forget, let's go support all of our artisans and all of those who work so hard. I'm getting these images up now, my friend, so we can expose you. Well, you did yesterday. Oh, thank you for sharing. You're so fun. Yeah. 345-936-8255 is the number to call to be a part of the discussion today. And like always, we love your feedback. And yeah. So I want to say hello to all of you. Marshall is in the house. Yeah. Good evening to you as well, Connie. Jimbo. Yeah, we need an update from Jimbo. Just send us proof of life. I know he was really having a hard time with his allergies, Connie, but yeah. So Jimbo, good evening, Damien. You are also here. Your mind is your instrument. learn to be its master and not its slave. You are right. That is so true. Thank you. Thank you. See how much people are depending on you, Damien? Mm-hmm. Yes. There. Thank you, Leonard Franklin, for that. Mm-hmm. Hey, Delcy. Good, good, good. Well, I'm just tuning in. What sort of thing is going around? It's meningitis in the United Kingdom. That's what's going around over there. And yeah, so we got to make sure we keep people updated with what's happening there. But I want to bring you some reflections from yesterday. And thank you, Marshall, for sharing us. Look at Marshall from yesterday. Remember, I was calling him. He promised he would have sent pictures. Look at Marshall yesterday. Look at my friend. Look at my friend, all decked out. Marshall went all out. Look at this. Look at him. Look at him. Look. That's only one part of it. Look. Yeah, that was part of his spread. And look at the table. What? Look at my friend. Look at my friend. There's a video that was taking a while, Marshall. I'll have to do that maybe on an open mic segment as we reminisce. But thank you so much for sharing. But look at you. Look at you all decked out. I'm hoping that you had a good time, that you enjoyed yourself. I shared the picture yesterday with you of 2016. And that was funny as heck. That brought back a lot of memories as well for me. So good for you that you had a good time yesterday. And I'm quite sure others did as well, as we learned so much. I got feedback last night. So much was learned from yesterday's. You see him, Connie. I got some very good feedback yesterday. So much was learned from that episode, because they just saw St. Patrick's Day is St. Patrick's Day. And for where we took it and where it went with the memes and all this sort of stuff. And thank you for all of you for commenting and participating. We learned even much more than I expected to bring out. Nobody's still taking up the offering of Green Rundown, though. We're going to keep that as it is, but that was quite interesting to see. But yeah, Marshall, thank you for sharing with us. And look at there. I wonder how late this went on to. What kind of green thing that is in that? Is that a rum punch? Is that what is in that igloo type, beautiful, that transparent, whatever you call it, fountain? What is in that? Tell us what those ingredients are, because I know you, my friend. I know you very well. But thank you so much, Marshall, for sharing with us. We really appreciate you just being a part of the family here, always commenting and contributing. We really appreciate it. But for those of you just joining us, Inspiring is also in the house. What did you do? What did you do to your hair? You look so young. I let it down. Inspiring, thank you so much. I let it out today. I put some products in it. And what I did, I only let it down because I had it up in one all along. And then I just got accustomed to having it up. Nasty people. But yeah, all I did was let it down, and I guess it does make a difference. I got oh my God, I tell you, someone messaged me. Thank you, Inspiring, for saying that. You know, we keep it real here. I had to call my hairstylist today. Big out to Carol. I had to call her today, and Petula as well, who did the hair. There's a braidist there at Slay Beauty Bar. And I shared a voice note. I played a voice note. Well, my love, this is my crew from the United Kingdom. I love you. I love you. I love you. Anyhow, they're not accustomed to me having braids, okay? Much less this bright of colors. I got to share this story with you all. And the voice note was, TD, yeah, you look good, you know. You look good. I'm trying my best. You look good. But that'll suit you, you know. You're a classy woman. You're a classy woman. You know how you got yard clothes, you got crab clothes, you got work clothes, you got church clothes. Yeah. TD. That is crab. That's crab. Let me tell you something. I was alone in my house, and you could hear me outside just laughing, because I could actually see this individual being so polite. She admired it. She told me clean and straight, that don't suit me. that na class, eh? It's different if I'm going out to a fete or a party. Oh yeah, TD, oh yeah. But I did not take it as an insult at all. Let me tell you something. I cracked up. So inspiring, you love it because it's down. My friend over there in the UK, she not feeling it at all. She said straight up, that is not for you. Oh, no. So I hope that you got the chuckle that I got. I'm doing my best impression of her. Very, very, very down to earth. And I did not by any means take it personal. She was just in my corner. She said, that's not you. It's too, I guess, relaxed, but it's how you style it as well. Anyhow, my hairstylist got it immediately. She cracked up just as much as me. And it was just a very good moment for me to hear that friend over there giving me constructive feedback. But we just made a light moment of it. And I'm going to be honest, I had intended to keep this in for over the Easter, but it may come out a little sooner than expected because I'm really not having a easy time. One, maintaining it. It's not easy to maintain. And two, this one inspiring, I'm not feeling at all as much as I would other hairstyles. Everyone, there's no secret. There is no secret. I love my weave. Oh, yeah. I love my weave, but she be good. Oh, yeah. She ain't gonna drop off. She never pull out. I am just one of those women that I take a lot of pride in myself. I wear extensions. I make no apologies. I don't lie about it. But I have to give my hairstylist number one props for that. And for people, there are lots of people who said they didn't even realize that I had extensions. And this is why I pick up Carol. She's very professional. And I pick up Melvin at Vanity, because then he layers my hair when I have the regular body wave. So it's no secret. We are here empowering each other. And it is Women's Month. I have been criticized by men about my weave. And can you imagine? Yes, I have been criticized publicly on platforms about my weave. And I just brush it off, to be honest with you. But it's amazing. I've made no apologies over wearing extensions because that's me, and to each his own. I have even flirted with the idea of, and I tried going natural as well when my hairstylist went home on rollover and I almost died. I almost actually flew over there to her, and then she came back in the nick of time. So yeah, but inspiring, that was amazing feedback that I got. And it was funny as heck. You wouldn't understand the joke that came about it unless you heard, but out of privacy for my friend, I can't play the voice note. And but I didn't take it personal at all. I didn't take it all. But thank you so much for the compliment. I have gotten compliments, to be honest, but this one friend, this one friend not feeling it at all. Hey, Leonard, how are you doing? I was trying to share the council. Yes. Oh, it's raining. It's raining here in Prospect. Yesterday, that 2009, right up the Privy Council, Madam Justice Lever was disciplined for Mr. Oh, okay, that was yesterday when Mr. Balika was talking. Thank you, Mr. Leonard, for that. Thank you for sharing that. Well, I guess they're tightening up legislation, and if this case is successful, let's see what else is going to come out of it. Yes. And Marshall is saying that he had a great time. I'm just a little late on some of the comments. Yes, Miss Dorothy's in the house. Good evening to you as well, Andrew. Blessed Wednesday. Can you extend, for Headley Robinson's family on behalf of us? Oh, really? Oh, I didn't realize that. Well, yes. Thank you so much for letting us know. Sincere condolences to Headley Robinson's family. As you can see from Andrew Campbell and his family, and definitely from all of us here on the Sabrina Speaks show as well, our sincere condolences. I know we did the bit on Nikki Fleetwood, I know her as Tippets. But yeah, again, but thank you, Andrew, for that. It's posted here, and our thoughts and prayers are with the family. Marshall is saying what's in that canister is Incredible Hulk. Oh, really? It's made of hypnotic Hennessy and pineapple juice. Oh, God, you could find your feet after that. How much of those could you hold, my dear? To be honest, anything you wear. Okay, thank you so much, inspiring. You've inspired me. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, Miss Sabrina. It's been a while since I've communicated with you, but I'm always watching Shaq. Yeah, I realize you've been gone MIA. What happened? Somebody silence you? Are you afraid of that little man over there? Just fun. It's good. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for still showing up. We know that some of the topics sometimes, let me get Marshall off of the screen. You just flood my screen, Marshall. See how you just taking over everything, Marshall? But let's get back to the topic today. But of course, the phone lines are wide open. 936-8255. We welcome your comments because in case you missed it, we're going to be speaking a little bit and stepping into the conversation that I feel touches every home, workplace, district, and even generation. Yeah. And this is why I called it Breaking Patterns and Building People. Because at the end of the day, we want to build each other. And they says you can't expect a different result if you continue to do things the same way, correct? And what we have noticed in time, because sometimes the very thing that holds us back isn't a person. It's not an individual. It's really a pattern of things, the way we think, the way we react to certain things, and the way of surviving that no longer serves us, right? And to be honest with you, when a person breaks a pattern, a habit, yeah, sometimes it is so far-reaching that an entire community can feel it. And even when a person chooses, let's say, clarity over confusion or courage over silence, you know who comes to mind, right? Dene. Healing over hiding. It really creates a ripple effect. Many times those ripples actually positively impacts, inspires, and motivates other people. Yeah, it will amaze you exactly what it does. So in this episode, it is my aim to start the conversation about the patterns that we actually inherit, the ones that we repeat, and, the ones that we finally decide to break. And we're going to talk about how breaking those patterns can help us as individuals, stronger families, and also a stronger Cayman ultimately. So when you look at it, and at any time, please, 345-936-8255, you're free to call in, free to comment on the link, and I will definitely try to make sure I keep up with them. And you're free to WhatsApp as well to be a part of this discussion because you keep me going, in all honesty, and your participation is also key. So when you talk about patterns, and for the record, I'm not a professional. I just really look at all of these things and you try to put real life scenarios, putting myself many times in the middle of it, examples, and just look at where life has led me, soon to be 52, Marshall. I must say, people say I'm still young, but it's amazing at this age of 51 now, soon be 52, when I look at patterns that I've constantly done that has been instilled in me through culture, just because of what I've seen versus how I think now, you kind of want to kick yourself. Why didn't I realize this before? Why did I continue to do things like this? Examples, right? When we look at it, what is a pattern? People might not even be aware of it, that it's even a pattern, because it is a behavior that you actually believe. It is a repeated pattern, is a repeat that becomes a habit that is believable. Okay. And we've noticed right here that we have patterns that come from our cultures. Yeah. From history, we learned that yesterday. From family, from church. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. From schools, from migration, from trauma, and from silence. So just let me repeat. A pattern is a repeated behavior that becomes belief. It doesn't make it real or that you have to be stuck. Okay? And some patterns are actually beautiful. Some of them are generosity, when you even look at community support and resilience, right? And some patterns can really hold us back, not only as individuals, but also as a society, like avoidance and gossip. Yeah, that hold you back. You'd be surprised. Fear of speaking up. That's just how it is. And those patterns that we repeat, those behaviors that we continue, those are some that actually holds us back. So when you look at a pattern not wanting to, let's say, make trouble, even when something is wrong, you always hear that, boy, I'm not gonna say nothing, I don't want to make no trouble. Even when you know something is wrong, or a pattern of staying quiet in public, but venting in private. We famous for that. Oh, yeah. Another pattern of assuming someone else will fix an issue. Keyword is assuming. And then another pattern that we find very frequent around here is not discussing mental health because we're strong. We can deal with it. You can't even acknowledge or own up that you're going through a mental challenge, something mentally. And the pattern of believing certain opportunities aren't for us. You actually pigeonhole yourself. These are some patterns, in case you can relate to any of them that you may be guilty of, right? That whole thing, don't want to be a troublemaker, even when you see something is wrong, or remaining to just stay quiet, but yet you let it rip when you get home behind closed doors. Yeah. And these aren't criticisms, please don't get it wrong. They're actually the harsh realities of us that grew up. We grew up knowing this and seeing these are the things, these are the patterns, these are the behaviors that many of us grew up with. That's just a fact. So you automatically saying, well, I've been so exposed to that, it becomes a norm. It must be the case, right? Now, I got one comment coming here, a couple of comments actually coming in by WhatsApp. And I want to read these. And of course, you all there on social media can post yours as well. This WhatsApp says, Sabrina, my family avoids every hard conversation. We sweep everything under the rug. I'm tired. Please keep me anonymous. Okay. My friend, Cayman is full of rugs with lumps under them. That's what I can tell you. And avoidance is one thing. And it's one of the most common cultural patterns that we can see. And breaking it doesn't mean confrontation, my friend. It actually means communication. And it's not a fight. You see, it's a sentence. So it's sad that you see that, and avoiding it doesn't solve the problem either. So it starts with one sentence. That's all it starts with. Some like to do disclaimers that sets the tone, sets the pace. You can also say it's just not a fight. This is really a conversation. Let's see if we can have this. Or you try to open the door. But my love, there are rugs full of lumps. And probably in every workplace and in every home. But it doesn't solve the problem. So all it takes is a start, one simple little sentence, and see exactly how that will end up. Damien Henry say, pattern works until it doesn't. Suit the individuals no more. Comfort zone is easy, but stepping out of the box can be very difficult. Mindset is everything. You're so right. You're so right. And some people become comfortable in the uncomfortable, but not realizing what it's doing to them as an individual. And that's not healthy. Andrew says, Sabrina, we are our own worst enemy. We cannot expect change if we continue bad habits. If we want change in our lives or surroundings or families, we, meaning I have to make the change to myself, you cannot expect to get better results in your life if you continue doing the same thing. Michael Jackson has a song called Man in the Mirror. Before I criticize anyone, I must examine my own life. Well said, Andrew, and you're quite right. Yes. Hey, Aliano, how you doing? Good evening to you, my sweet. I hope you're continuing to be on the mend. And I need to hear from Jimbo. Just send us a thumbs up, please, Jimbo, if you're okay as well. But yeah, you are quite right. Man in the mirror. You got to change yourself. You got to being comfortable in an uncomfortable environment, I think, is one of the most self-destructive things anybody can do, especially if you remain in the environment. You are pretty much self-destructing. And that is something that people really need to be aware of, because some people, remember what I said, it becomes believable. The patterns are repeated so till it becomes believable, but it doesn't mean that it's right. And you got to be in connection with yourself to really understand and even be able to identify these things that you're really killing. You're smothering the true, vibrant individual that you are, because you have chosen to become comfortable in the uncomfortable, even when you know it's not right. Again, breaking a pattern. Yes. Andrew said, remember, rebrand, restore, reset yourself to get positive results in your personal life before trying to change other people. So right. You know, that's another thing, Andrew. Thank you for saying that. Many a times, we are able to look into someone else's window when in fact we are pretty much just falling apart for ourselves. And we are struggling ourselves to just keep things together. And the one thing comes back to mind, Andrew, is the instructions for when you travel on an aircraft. What does it say? The oxygen mask is above your seat. And should it be, should you have to use it, remember to affix yours, and I'm paraphrasing, before you assist the person next to you. That is profound. How are you going to be any good for anybody else, for the person next to you, as good of a heart as you may have, if you're not able to protect and help yourself? So it aligns quite nicely, Andrew, with what you're saying there. But again, even in public life, yeah, we're going there. We're going to talk about how patterns show up in our civic life as well. Good evening, Miss Lucille. How are you? As she says, good evening, Sabrina, and you all at home. Good evening to Miss Shalma, your friend. My deepest condolences to Headley family and friends as I got the news about his passing. I remember his kindness to me when I had needed the rest in peace. Oh, okay. Rest in peace. God be with you. Thank you for that, Miss Lucille. Yes. And, also condolences go out from the Campbell family as well. And definitely all of us here on the Sabrina Speaks as well. Hope you're keeping well, Miss Lucille, and the rest of the UK crew. Thank you for joining us. I know it's pretty late. You stay up, you go to bed, you wake up and you hear us, but it's always good to know that you're locked in on the Sabrina Speaks. We appreciate you and everyone who logs in religiously, even if it's after we go off. We thank you for your continued support. Getting back to this, let's talk about how patterns actually show up in our civic life, because looking at our own space, which is something we can relate to, people say nothing will change, so they don't participate, right? How many of you are familiar with that? Why participate? Nothing will change. And we're talking about how patterns show up in, our civic life. And then people then also wait until something becomes a crisis before speaking up. Remember the article and the suggestion that I had in regards to all of what's happening with fuel and the rumor that made its way around the weekend on Sunday about gas prices going up to $7, when we're seeing what's happening around the world. We see where our neighboring countries are saying that there's been a sudden increase in the buying of propane tanks and all of that sort of stuff because there was a rumor around that the price would have gone up and there would be shortages. You see what I'm saying about getting ahead of it? And one of these suggestions were to pretty much avoid this panic buying, to avoid people, to give a sense of calm. It was suggested and supported by a number of you that what our government should actually do is have a little press briefing with, be it the Premier, members represented from the Chamber of Commerce, members represented from the utility companies, from the tourism industry as well, and other stakeholders and the supermarkets as well, to let people know that there are contingencies. There's one thing of doing a press release, but there's a difference when you actually have things set out in a way and you address the nation, because you know the power of social media, you know the pace of social media, how the wrong thing can pick up steam. And then you're using all of this energy, all of this resource, all of these manpower to dispel a rumor, as was confirmed by Offreg on Sunday. Bearing in mind, Offreg doesn't control prices. But it was very sound for what took place in order to calm people down. At least Offreg said something. You see what I'm saying? Offreg said something. And kudos to the CMR platform for getting that done, because it was going like wildfire. That should be a signal, again, to our leaders, to those in the most prominent position, maybe with everything that we're seeing in the news about cost of utilities. There was another thing that I saw in another country today where they had announced that Wednesday was off, like no work Wednesday. And that was Sri Lanka. And that was really to help in reducing their consumption of energy. And we're seeing these other countries doing this thing because they're realizing the difficulties and challenges that they're receiving and they're seeing, and they're doing what they can to conserve. Hence, we said it would be a good idea, not in a press statement, but do a simple broadcast. Yeah, it would be a good idea. And a lot of you supported that. A simple press briefing with industry stakeholders, utilities, supermarkets. You could have the chamber represented because they represent our small businesses and that sort of stuff. And I'm quite sure, if they get the data, they have the reach, they could weigh in on it. And of course, you have your representative from the government, and the UK arm being that of the governor. Typical. And you just calm people down. It will be a big thing, because I'm telling you, the conversations are being had, and there are some there is a sense of panic out there. And we just want to make sure that we are proactive. Okay. So we don't want to be constantly in this pattern where we're constantly reactive. There's nothing wrong with being proactive. And then another example is people rely on WhatsApp voice notes instead of verified information. It goes right back to what I was saying. The power of social media, the power in which you could make something go viral that isn't even true, is why being proactive, seeing it, taking control of a narrative, being responsive, being at pace is key. And we're looking at this from civic life, from a national, local level. That's what we're looking at it from. Because right now, do we need any unnecessary panic or unnecessary information out there that is not true? And this is why it's good right now to keep frequent updates. Keep frequent updates from persons that we know for sure are in a position that they would know, and of course would be someone that you respect and you believe. When your leaders actually take a mic and do certain things like that and make statements generally on a national level, more than likely you're going to believe them and you will sense a bit of calm. Also, another example is that people assume government is they, not we. Okay? Government. People assume that the government is they and not we. Yeah. And that's profound. Government represents everybody. But of course, out of chain of command, they're at the highest level. And people, another example, is that people complain about issues, but don't attend civic district meetings when they are called. And my friends, those are patterns, not adjustments. Those are what we need to adjust. That's where we need to change the dial. Yeah, you can't just continue to complain and complain and complain and complain. And you have every solution there is in the world, but you don't attend anything. You don't try to step up to make a difference. And again, assuming government is them, they, when in fact, government is us, we. Denver, how are you? Late to class this evening? Always love to have you commenting. Passive aggressive, fairly common amongst quiet people. Silent people not communicating. Yeah, but they're the ones that are deadly too. And this is why I got a WhatsApp as well that's coming in. I'll get to that in a second. This is why, Denver, it just doesn't make sense. And then that anger builds up. And we see what happened around the world when these rage and anger builds up, and you will hear when something massive goes down and they realize, and you hear references of individuals who do heinous crimes, and they're like, that person was a quiet person, showed up to work and did their work. And oh my God, I never expected that. I would have never seen that coming. Again, what you said, passive aggressive, fairly common amongst quiet people, silent people not communicating. And Denver also said, there's many press briefings, I believe, our government should be having before social media comes into play, clearly shows lack of leadership. And Denver, this is, I think you were one of those that agreed the other day when the suggestion came up with all that's happening right now in the world. And we see what's happening just in our neighboring jurisdictions, which is why I try to do my best in compiling regional and international news along with our local headlines. And it's some people may say, well, why the heck do we care what's going on in Grenada? No, trust me, it makes sense. And I do believe that we have an opportunity to get ahead of anything if we just listen to the people. if we just listen and just be a little bit more proactive. Again, the whole idea of breaking patterns and make the necessary adjustments. You would be surprised the positive impact that will have. Andrew says, planning and preparation for challenges that we potentially face due to ripples effects this situation is going to cause. As a country, and all stakeholders concerned will be affected. Yes. It doesn't take a lot of resources or energy to just reach out to key stakeholders or utilities, chamber, a representative, let's say from the supermarket, and your government representative, the governor, and even those who there may be other agencies as well that they may come up in this thing. It doesn't take hard just to come and just address the nation and say exactly where we stand in all of this. Of course, the governor has the part to play from the UK. We see what's happening over there as well. And we see what is happening and what's being said by the President of the United States in regards to, it is alleged now that the king will be visiting him because of how he's been speaking about the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. So we have to wait to see if that comes out because every 2 minutes there's a post. So what I'm saying, even though we're a British overseas jurisdiction, that says a lot when locally you got your media, you got your PR, yes, and representation from the opposition as well to show that this is all collective. This is not just a government thing, that it is unanimously supported, everybody. You see, perception is priceless. Perception is priceless. And this is why, supported by you guys and even confirmed by you guys, you say it's a good idea. Because how many of you right now, even though the last update or voice or video that was put out by, I think, the governor said one thing, but when was the last time? With everything that has developed, we see what's happening now in Dubai. We see everything that's, around the world, period. And we have local companies who have offices in Hong Kong and so forth. We have people all over the world. So why not just keep abreast, keep your local population, your people in the know by doing something of that nature? Yeah. The WhatsApp, let me get to this. Sabrina, why do people say voting doesn't matter here? Sabrina, why do people say voting doesn't matter here? It all depends, to be honest. But I feel that it's getting to the point now, and we're getting this even out of the US and other jurisdictions as well. My humble opinion is that people feel that they're underheard. When they feel that they're underheard long enough, they stop talking. And then that in turn stops them or the desire to even want to participate and vote. Now, that's, as I said, is not a Cayman problem. It's really, in the context of this conversation, a human pattern. And what we're seeing, as I process what this question is, breaking it starts with a lot of education, not shame, not making somebody say, oh, that one is politically motivated. Da, 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 da. Yeah. Breaking it starts with education and not shaming anyone. And participation doesn't only mean voting. It also can mean, for the context, staying informed, asking questions, and engaging respectfully. But I feel the top of it is that when people feel that they're underheard long enough, they just stop. They stop participating. They stop voting. And many people cannot even describe or explain exactly why they have made that decision. It's just something so internalized, so hurt, so cut. They're cut up about it. Disappointed is what I should say. Yet the options are limited in certain areas. So what they do, they just withdraw. They just withhold, which isn't the solution either, unfortunately. Andrew says, planning and preparation for the challenges that we potentially face due to the ripple effects this situation is going to cause. As a country, all stakeholders concerns will be affected. I think you corrected something. Andrew, I got to tell you how you can amend your posts. You can amend them. You can edit them. But thank you so much. You made it clear. And that is why planning and preparation for the challenges that we potentially face due to ripples effects in this situation is going to cause. This is justifying the press briefing is what he's trying to say. As a country and all stakeholders concerned will be affected. And this is why we should be talking. You remember when they had said about the increase in fees and all that sort of stuff and how businesses went ahead and did their planning and all that sort of stuff where the minimum wage and all and it didn't take effect and certain things were not imposed. The adjustments were already made in businesses' operation. How many of them have actually reversed them back? How many of them have reversed them? Yeah. So this is why it's good to be proactive, to do something like this, to address sedation, to just calm people down. And you may or may not like the fact that we're bringing this up here in this platform. The mere fact that it's being brought up is because the conversations are being had. The conversations are being had. I'm telling you. I don't know what you or who is speaking to you or what you're hearing, but people would be very grateful for it if you actually do it. Now, I'll be honest with you. I grew up in a pattern of where we were just very outspoken. I mean, my grandmother was totally different because of her age difference. And, the older you get, the more reserved you are. But I couldn't say that I grew up in a pattern of silence. We were respectful. And as a child, you dare not talk back. That was just the culture. But I could see in the earlier generations where you don't rock the boat, even when you're being disenfranchised, that I could see that all around me. And a pattern of just taking it is become a norm. But I was not in a household. I can't say personally that I have been exposed to that. I was allowed to speak freely. I was allowed to weigh in, give my opinions. And sometimes you would get that little, oh boy, you don't do that. But we knew our place as a child being born in 1974, for example. And then I saw my grandparents being very active. They participated in elections, of course. They weren't with all this branding and all that sort of stuff. But it's just that generation. For me now, as an adult, I never stopped my children from speaking. And I would say you set the rules before you go. I shared the story with you the other day where we were going to the supermarket and I knew I only had X amount to spend. And I let them know, look, we're going to the supermarket. You cannot pick up everything you see you want. You're allowed one, and that's it. You make your choice. So, and they were allowed to express themselves. And I'm happy that I did that. Even now as grown adults, we sit down and they talk and they're entitled to their opinion. So I can't say that I was in that environment. There could be someone who grew up in a household or still is impacted by that. And that has been passed down from generation to generation. What I find out with that, though, silence is not peace. Oh, no, it doesn't. It festers. It actually is pressure, and pressure that eventually bursts. It actually will explode. And if by chance you have raised up like that, it actually, you're more tolerant of things than the average person, but it's killing you inside. And breaking that pattern, if you're in that, you may make you loud and rambunctious and just aggressive. No. It just makes people know exactly where your lines are drawn. And clarity from that builds people. People may not like that you're outspoken. People may not appreciate that you voice your opinion, but that's where the fakeness come in. And you will turn your back, you will say all sorts of things, and you're being fake. There's a way of tempering things. Yes, I agree. But staying silent and swallowing it, not a good thing at all. Not a good thing at all. Andrew, we always heard that we should have at least 6 months salary set aside for emergencies. Some of us don't even have one because it's gone before we got it. Oh, I digress. How many of us has had that set aside? Much less for a country with 90,000 plus people. Looking back at COVID lockdown, the figures that the world lost was 100 plus trillions. Yes. And to this day, kudos, credit has been given to the tight, I don't know if this man had a vision, to the tight way in which former minister and cabinet, member of parliament and cabinet minister, Mr. Marco Archer, it was based on certain things that he put into place that we were able to navigate that. Whether the man will get his praises for true, but I know I've heard it more than once. Yeah. And that's how we could navigate. But God forbid, what is the current stance should that be repeated now? Where are we right now? Should that be repeated? And very interesting. But we have to give credit based on what has been repeated numerous of times. We have to give credit where it's due to the management of and the principles that were instilled and put in place during Mr. Marco Archer's time in office, that we could have been able to lock down and sustain ourselves during that time. That takes discipline, my friends. Denver say, oh, you can edit. Oh, Lord, Denver, you something else. Andrew, I'm not that tech savvy like you, Denver. No, Andrew, Denver was saying he just learned it in his old age. Dean says, I hate the word brainwash. So let us say most of civilization has been domesticated. Dean, that's a low blow. But I see exactly where you're going with that in this context. You are something else. Yeah. Oh gosh, you're something else. Denver says exactly what I said. PA people. Oh God. Andrew, our elders used to say, woeful wastes make woeful wants. We had to take what we got with food, clothes, gratitude as people never had it to throw away. Yep. Oh boy. Don't voice your opinion on Trump here. No, that you. Yeah, no, he gonna shut you up. But that's the world. That is the world over, Denver. We're seeing where people are very cautious with what they say, how they say it, even certain images that they post. And we see where they are threatening to close down certain news sites as well, based on how they are reporting on what's happening with the war. So we're not immune from that in this space. There has been cases where social media platform pages, YouTube channels have been actually blocked because of images that could have been AI enhanced or something that wasn't totally factual. And that is based on the actual platform that you're using. So it's not that all stories that I actually share or that I read a part of my news segment here as I continue to prepare for when we get on radio, that you will see the image pop up. There's a reason for that. And I make sure that I double check. But there's so much out there. But this whole thing, yeah, it's changing. What you say, how you say it. And just put it like this, Denver. I choose my battles. I choose them. Keeping it local. We got a lot of stuff that's going on locally right now. But I think that it is important for me to share as well what's happening in the region and around the world. But there's just certain images you will never see me share because I'm conscious that our social media pages or handles, and that could impact this entire stream. And I don't want that. But is that a society? Is that where the world is going? Is that where we're headed? Where we're talking about breaking patterns? and it becoming believable. What happens then when it's controlled? Yeah, and you're still left not being able to voice your opinion. So it'll be interesting times coming ahead, to be honest with you. Damien says, the acute stress response, also known as fight, flight, or freeze response, is down to each individual. No one can tell how a person is going to respond, especially when it is a life-threatening event. Some may plan for all eventualities, while others might panic or choose the last minute option, which it is why, Damien, it is imperative that we be proactive as a nation, because you have identified different types of individuals, and you're right. You are so right. It's the fight or flight response, and then you got those freeze who just don't do anything. I have seen those in patients back in the day. You go on accident scenes, and yeah. And just remember the earthquake that we had. You had people exhibiting all three of those things that you said: the fight, the flight, and the freeze. You can't control how people are going to respond, but it does. Being proactive does actually create an environment that it gives person, no matter what pace they move at, the opportunity to be aware, publicly aware, nationally you stand. And therefore, that encompasses all three of those personalities that you've outlined here, Damien. Andrew says, kudos to Mr. Marco Archer for his frugal implementation to manage our finances. Yes, I must say that. Denver also says, Mr. Marco, man with more degrees than a compass. It's a lovely compliment. Under the circumstances. There's so much fake on AISM social media these days. One doesn't know the truth. No. You can pick them up. There are a number of things, as I said, Denver, though, that you got to be weary of, and especially with what I do here, the content creation. And sometimes it's one thing to have a topic, there's another thing to report on it. But when you dig a little deeper, some of it is not as it first pops up. And this is why you have to fact check. And even though this space is Voices of the Islands, Conversations for the World, the topics that we actually have is far reaching. We see where persons regionally, internationally as well, subscribe, they come after, I get their messages. This is from around the world. And I appreciate their feedback, but it just tells us that the responsibility and the accountability that I must have to maintain a certain stance here. And I tell you, it is not easy. An entire day, you could actually be researching things and to make sure that it's sound and with a balance of what's happening locally, keeping my hand on the pulse with what's happening here, regional and international. It takes a lot. And you would be floored how much fake stuff I have discovered in me making sure that I'm able to maintain a certain standard and what I deliver here is factual. It isn't easy, I'm telling you. I mentioned Trump because of freedom of speech. Podcasts such as yours is different. No, they're after some of us as well, podcasters as well, because we have more ream. We have more, put it like this. We have to comply with the standards of the platforms that we're using. And they have rules and regulations that we can. And remember now, persons' assumptions can be drawn from the hosts. And we're not your mainstream news station with like those bigger ones. This is a show, but there are a lot of content that is drawn from this show or presented via this show that could have lasting impacts and can chart the course. Be very observant with what's happening and you'll get what I'm saying. Maybe one day I'll give you an example, Denver, right now, but this is no different than how we handle ourselves here on podcast, because even certain videos, certain music that we use, copyright and all that sort of stuff could get this whole platform shut down. if I don't follow the rules. So what I actually deliver is impactful, and it has to be researched, and it has to be something that is from credible source. And this is why I have to make sure that I'm on the ball as well. Hence me asking persons, even commenting, to make sure that they're respectful, because there are certain breaches that could actually shut us down if we do not know what is going on. There's another WhatsApp. Sabrina, my workplace has a pattern of promoting the same type of people. How do you deal with that? Oh, so I sense favoritism? That's good question. Sabrina, my workplace has a pattern of promoting the same type of people. How do you deal with that? Seems to me, my friend, it is taking on the characteristic of favoritism. And that, for this context, is and could be a structural problem. Now, you don't fight that type of situation with emotion, which is hard. Oh my God, that's hard. You, my friend, if you're in that environment and feel as though you've been left behind, you fight it with documentation, professionalism, and definitely boundaries. Because the key thing that you got to remember when you're in an environment like that is that clarity is not conflict. That's what you need to remember. You cannot fight it with emotion. You can't. And you may feel like you're fighting a losing battle sometimes because you're outnumbered in the place. And this is not nationality. I don't know the nationality of this WhatsApp person. But that would be my best and unbiased way, professional way of dealing with it, is just take this one, even though it hurts like heck. Don't fight it with emotion. And the key thing to remember is that clarity is not conflict. Let me grab this other one here. Why do we keep having the same arguments in Cayman every few years? You don't mind? Okay. Janelle, thank you for giving me that permission. Janelle says, why do we keep having the same arguments in Cayman every few years? My love. And it all depends. And you're speaking in general. I'm because we were talking about civic and the responsibility and just being proactive. So I'm going to answer you as best as I can from this perspective. I think the reason why that is the case is because we're continuously debating symptoms. We constantly debate symptoms and not systems. That's the biggest thing I'm feeling, Janelle. And that, for example, a big talk is always talking. And I remember another one who challenged me, Sabrina, do not allow your space to just be an area where you just talk, and there's no results. I promised Denver I will give him an example. Right now, we're still watching the space, right? But going back to your question, Janelle, we continue to debate the symptoms and not systems. And I feel that something like cost of living, traffic, education, and we constantly hear the debate about healthcare and all of these issues that evolve slowly everywhere and always in the domain. But breaking the pattern means shifting the blame to solutions. And it's very easy to find the problems, but accompany it with solutions. And I think that is one of the things that we have been able to demonstrate, Janelle, on this platform, where we're not only just pointing out the problem, we're not casting blame, we're elevating, we're educating, we're bringing issues to the forefront, we're hashing them out, you're weighing in, and questions like this, yes. It allows me to actually do this a little bit more and still come across in a way where it creates a balanced response. And hopefully for you to, and for those who listen, and we know that they listen, that they can see it from a different perspective. But we need to stop debating the symptoms. Yes, that's what we do. We constantly debate symptoms and not debate systems. That's a big difference. But thank you for that. I have another WhatsApp, but let me get back to Denver. Yes, it must for you. However, one person to person speaking is really what I'm referring to. Thank you for that. Yes, it's true. Andrew says AI is so dangerous. Not that you see them posting that some people who are living are dead. Yeah, now that you see them posting people who are living are dead. Hope they don't post me. Oh, dear Jesus. No, 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 no. Oh my gosh. Yeah, where it's going. And I think we just need to, this is one of the concerns as well that we got nationally, that people were concerned about this digital footprint and where we're going as a jurisdiction and the risks of it. And all of these things actually playing to that. And until we get more familiar, until we get more accustomed, I don't see it being scaled back. I see in the future more regulations, more oversights. I see where jurisdictions individually are going to have to put the necessary framework in place to give us that sense of security. And I feel based from what our public officials or elected officials have told us, that we are putting in the necessary. We are on the beginning as we continue to mature and evolve in this digital space, that they're doing the best as they can with what they know in preparing us for this digital footprint and where the future is going, that they're putting in the belts and braces that is needed in order to keep us safe. So we are all learning these things where AI and digital footprint is coming from is changing literally by the minute. You can't even say month to month, year to year. It's almost by the minute. Now you can actually create apps just like that and make millions if you get that right sweet spot. And it's amazing how quickly everything is an app. But look, these things don't survive. These things don't become profit unless there's a demand. People are subscribing for them. People are subscribing to them. And therefore, where there's a demand, people are just going to be innovative. I feel that with balance, though, we all need to try and realize where we're headed and not get left behind. Because somewhere, somehow, whether or not you're embracing it, someone come to you, whether or not you're embracing it, it's going to become a reality at some point in time. Yes. Hope you don't read your obituary in the news. That'd be wrong, Denver. Andrew? Oh my God. Look, I wouldn't put it past anything with what's happening nowadays. This is why I'm a little cautious, even when I get messages saying this person has passed, yada, yada. I'm a little cautious. I am a little cautious. Because we see what's happening as well. Denver says, regulations, you mean? Total control, digital ID, and more coming. Well, at least you agreed. You agreed. More is coming. More is coming. There's another WhatsApp. Sabrina, how do you break a pattern when your whole family is uncomfortable with it? Wow. Thank you for that, David. Yeah. Comfort is not the same as, I think, as healthy. No, it's not. And when you grow up or when you give others permission to grow, even if they resist it at first. So I feel that at the end of the day, comfort is not the same as healthy. And you just, you gotta really observe, I feel, what's happening and try to maintain a level of respect in you trying to stand your own ground and making your point. And that is key because certain households are just different. Certain cultures are different. And with what we are being exposed to right now with different cultures, nationalities, what we can see even playing out on different platforms, at the end of the day, when you grow as an individual, You grow with others' permission to grow, even if they resist it at first. You're going to become your own individual. So that's where taking control of your own destiny, taking control of your own emotions, and you would have heard me brought up on this space here numerous of times before, societal pressures. Hence this conversation today, breaking patterns. Because we've been in that environment, it becomes believable, but it's not facts. So yeah, it's not healthy. That's for sure. Evaluation from Andrew says of the situation and how you can deal with corporate systems might mean that you probably have to change the look at moving from that company. Yeah, you may have to change and look at moving from the company, get out of the environment. Yeah, which is why it was a little challenging to say what to do, because sometimes even when you document, it's used against you. And there is really no one straight answer for that scenario. I got to be honest with you, Andrew. But if it is a case where you're outnumbered, you may actually, and you see that that's becoming the culture, that's the behavior, then maybe you may want to actually look someplace else to go. And right now, that is not, gosh, we're going back to something that we covered. That may be easier said than done with the employment challenges that we're seeing. We're seeing where companies now are scaling back, and this is in general, and they're looking at smarter ways, more efficient ways, and not necessarily individuals to do jobs. So that may be easier said than done, which in return now puts that person in an awkward position because they may have to get comfortable in the uncomfortable despite the environment being what it is, despite them being overlooked because of favoritism, which is what it appears in that establishment or in that organization. So because you got bills, you got responsibilities, you see no other way out. And it's all a balance. It's all a balance. But there's no one way, to be honest. These are all of the challenges that you're seeing. But thank you for saying that as well, that they may have to consider moving from that company and try to find something else. But still being aware that there are challenges, and sometimes these patterns and these behaviors actually are worse in other organizations, just that they're insulated and you don't realize it until you're in the thick of things. Now, let's just talk quickly about what patterns we may actually see right here, even though I've given some scenarios as best as I can. People, I don't hear as much because I'm thinking now that it all depends on how hard you beat it. And maybe that little roundabout by Agricola Way has helped ease some of the pressures. But we see here where people talk all the time about traffic, but don't support long-term planning. Yeah, I struck a chord there. We're going to talk about some of the things that's relatable here. We complain about the traffic, but we don't support long-term planning, so to speak, okay? It's to the point now that it's almost becoming reactive, or the wheels have slowed down. And I'm talking just facts, okay? And there are certain steps, yes, I agree, that we have to go through to make sure that it's done sustainably. But at the end of the day, you don't support long-term planning. And people want accountability, but also they fear, from what we're seeing here, being labeled as negative. Yeah. People want accountability, but they fear being labeled as negative. That's another problem that we're seeing here. And another one that is very obvious as well is that people they ask for transparency, but avoid public dialogue. How are you going to get it if you're avoiding public dialogue? Okay? You can't have the two and expect to get it. Yeah? And then people are saying, we need to change this, we need to change that, we want better system. We need to do this. We need to do that. But resist change. Keeping it on topic, my friends. These are classic signs of patterns, not political statements. I'm identifying patterns. I'm not making political statements. And breaking civic patterns can only start with asking questions, seeking facts, participating respectfully, keep using that word, understanding processes as well, and holding institutions accountable without hostility. That's the big one. Remember now, a lot of you will say, we could blackball. We could get blackballed. We can't say anything. I got in a bid. I may lose that contract because I speak. Oh no, I'm on a board. I need to be on a board. I can't do this. I can't do that. Hello? How are you going to get change if you continue with the same pattern? You can't say you want this, but you're rejecting that. It's not making sense. You got to know where you want to be, where you want to remain in order for you to see change. Denver says, many Caymanians under my management, I've had to say, this job is not for you. I'll help you find another job. So many that didn't like it. I said to them, remember, you may need a reference from me and I'll be happy to recommend you. Oh God, Denver, if you say it like that, they're gonna be afraid to ask you for a reference. Oh gosh, but I see exactly where you're coming from as well. But some of them may be afraid to get a reference from you if that's how you say it. OMG. Andrew says, the most valuable thing we have is time. How we spend it working, living. AI is slated to take over for companies, banks, institutions. I was reading an article some time ago, how we spend half of our lives traveling to get to work, more so in big cities like New York, London, etc., and how it takes away from quality of life. Looking at Cayman Islands and our traffic, I can't help but wonder if we have not tried to pattern a big city unintentionally. Well, whether or not they tried to pattern a big city, I will say no. I could be honest with you. We just failed at exactly what I said earlier on. Planning for the future. If you see the amount of registrations of vehicles, you look at the infrastructure, you look at the amount of numbers in work permits, you look at our population from the ESO data, you would know that certain infrastructure itself would actually have to upgrade at some point in time, saved by natural disasters. Trying to model big cities when it comes to our infrastructure, I don't think that's the case. I just feel that we acted a little bit, or we act a little too slow in realizing the pace in which we have grown, continue to grow, even if we want to slow it down. But even modernizing our infrastructures, there is no way right now. Can you imagine if the road, let's say Crew Road, was still the only road and they didn't have the bypass, the Linford Pearson bypass? Can you imagine if the only road was that one strip of road going into West Bay? That's it. It didn't widen the road to the back that you can't see the sea anymore because it's overbuilt. Can you imagine with what we have right now and those being the only arteries that we have, what would happen? We would be gridlocked if we had continued to not modernize. Thank God to those persons who were visionaries at the time to do the double lanes, to do the bypasses, which a lot of those, were in planning for a long time. But governments have to necessarily fund them in order to bring them to fruition. Now, if we have come to a decision as a country that we want to try and halt and don't grow anymore and this is what we're going to do with a public transport system, then you may look at infrastructure a little differently. But to say that the continuation heading east is not something that will have to happen in my lifetime, it could have to happen. It's going to have to happen, because even if we say we're not going to allow one person more to come here, you have to still deal with building the necessary infrastructure and so forth with who you have right now. Let's say you pause it right now. It's not like you're pausing age. And all of those kids now who are coming out of school would be entitled to getting a learner's or driver's license and all that sort of stuff, unless you change and improve public transport and get your people into that system. They're going to be on the road as well. A good number of them are going to be on the road. So even if we freeze it right now, there are just certain infrastructure that we're going to have to get a handle on. And that's even possibly in one of our sister islands. I say one of our sister islands. I'll leave you to think which one. Even that, we're seeing where the demand right now for services and stuff is increasing. Yeah. So that's just moving, being proactive. It goes back to what I was saying earlier, being proactive. Denver says, there is an old saying, take the T out of can't and you can. That's correct. That's correct, Denver. That is correct. So where we are now, where we're going, like I said, even if we don't give another status, even if we don't grant another or block another application, we still have to deal with where we are now. Those people are going to be using our roads. They're going to need public transport. They're still going to be using our grid, water, amenities, services, all that sort of stuff, schools. And then they're still going to, when it comes to childbearing, yeah, it's going to happen. I just feel we just need to move a little faster with certain things, and we will see a difference in exactly how we roll. One thing I like with you guys, you're coming in with these WhatsApp. I'm seeing you liking these. Hold on. Okay. Deleted. Sorry. Damien says, generational patterns is one of the biggest stumbling blocks faced by individual in today's society. Aligning all moving parts to work together is a fundamental principle for changing patterns. Well said. Well said, Damien. Denver says, I'm very proud of a number of Caymanians and a few status holders that have helped climb the ladder. However, it was only after some communication I said this job is for you. Okay. Is not for you. Okay, gotcha. You identified it. Okay. Yeah. Some people don't even know that, to be honest. They're just happy for the job. Yeah. Now, when you look at even building each other, which is the crooks and crannies of how we actually get to breaking and solving some of these problems and breaking these patterns and turning them into solutions, hopefully we can do this as a society, is that building people is not about fixing them, and a lot of people misunderstand that. Who are you? Who are you? I didn't ask your opinion. It's really about creating an environment or environments where they can see growth. They know that growth is possible. And that's what it's doing. You are not fixing them at all. When you build people, you're not fixing them. You're making an environment that is conducive, where they see that there is a possibility in them growing, them being better persons, being more fulfilling of themselves, knowing their purpose, feeling a part, feeling invested. And when you ask then possibly, what are some of those things? And we have them, but I don't think we're able even to identify them here locally. Look at all the programs that we have when it comes to mentoring of young Caymanians, even entering into new industries in the workforce, right? When we look at supporting small businesses and we see where that is actually becoming a reality, right? Supporting small businesses instead of tearing them down. Yeah. And we know that they have their challenges. Creating an environment that is encouraging to civic literacy, even in schools, in churches, youth groups. Yeah, more platforms like this that are hosted by young men and women. Yeah, that we can all subscribe because trust me, we can learn a thing or five about them, right? And teaching financial literacy as well and not coming across as though you're dumb, you messed up. No, creating an environment where people can see the possibility of them growing, where they see growth being possible. You're not fixing them, you're creating that environment. And also, what we see is that creating spaces, safe spaces for even our men to express emotion without judgment. One may say, well, why men? I know why I say men. Yeah, it's a culture, it's a society that we live in. And that's a pattern. We're talking about breaking patterns. If we create these spaces where it's safe for men to express emotion, being vocal in certain things is one thing, but how safe are they when they're becoming vulnerable and creating those spaces where they can express emotion and not being teared down because they're a man? And also spaces where you can find supporting females, more women in leadership without tearing them down as well or tearing them apart. I feel that at the end of all of this, which is why it puts this episode together so nicely, is that building people at the end of the day, when you look at it, boils down to being a community project. That's just the facts. And if we're so accustomed to doing certain things in a certain way, it may be hard for us to even digest what I'm delivering here today. And it's because we are so entrenched into a pattern that it's become believable. Hence, I'm having the discussion today. Again, I stepped out on a limb because I saw where possibly you would understand it, you would embrace it, you would appreciate what I'm bringing across, because we cannot continue to do the same thing and expect different results. And if you are able to identify a pattern, a behavior that you have subscribed to as a norm, that's the only way you're able to begin to heal or to fix it. But we all have a responsibility. And hence why creating the space that people can actually see the potential or possibility for growth is paramount. Andrew says, roads and infrastructure are key to catering for increased population growth. Unfortunately, we have limited land available, and by such, every inch of real estate is valuable. Yeah. Yes, that is so true. Denver says, when I see people with initiative, I empower them on the job. This is so lacking here, which is why so many Caymanians fail, I believe. And this is why, Denver, it aligns so nicely with what I've said. There is no way we can continue to build people unless we look at it as being a community project, by being able to create environments where people can actually see growth as a possibility, and creating these safe spaces for especially our men and our women being supported and creating that environment. Yeah. I got another question here, Renee. Oh, how are you, my friend? Sabrina, how do we break the pattern of depending on one income stream? I'm just going to shoot straight up. I think that possibly you can start with literacy and not lifestyle. Literacy and not lifestyle, because that's one of the things that I pointed out, and I think that's where your question was derived. And we all know for a fact Cayman is very expensive, right? Very expensive. But financial patterns in themselves shifts when also knowledge shift, because there are just certain things that if you are aware of, there are just certain things you're not going to do. But if you're not aware of it, which is why I'm saying being able to identify certain things is one thing. But financial patterns actually change when the knowledge shifts. And if you're educated and you're aware of certain things, you'd make different decisions. Now, bearing in mind, environments do change. Life hits some of us really hard at times, and that can change the trajectory and outcomes as well. But sometimes knowledge actually is the bedrock of why these shifts could become a reality. Let me grab this other one. Thank you for that question, by the way. Oh, they're coming in today, boy. Anonymous. Okay, no worries. I see you. Why do Caymanians get defensive when you challenge old ways? No wonder you won't keep anonymous. Oh my goodness. Good question. Good question. Maybe because I think, let me grab it here. Maybe because I feel change feels like disrespect. Please correct me if I'm wrong here with how I'm seeing this. Change feels like disrespect when people are really attached to a certain behavior or tradition. And again, it goes back to patterns that becomes believable. And they become aggravated, thinking that you're challenging them because you're getting at them, that you're telling them they're wrong, putting them down, that you don't respect them, not realizing that breaking the pattern is not betrayal. That's what you call evolution. That's evolving. But many people take it as they're being betrayed and not looking at it from a different perspective. But thank you. Thank you for that question. I hope that I think you asked the question. Breaking the pattern is not a betrayal. You've evolved. How much times have you heard, from the time she got that job, or look at there, she's changed? Really? From the time she went to college, from the time she did this, from the time she did that, she changed. And they feel like you've betrayed them. No. When you elevate your conversations, when you elevate your game, when you draw the line in what you will actually, even some of your best friends, they're the ones that turn against you like you've done something wrong when they fail to see you evolving, you're maturing, you're investing in yourself. And that's just not individually. That's as a society what we should be doing. When you have everyone pretty much seeing things as we evolve, as we mature together, you will have more participation, more buy-in than you have resistance. And I challenge my friends to change and break the pattern and look at evolution as we continue to evolve. It is not betrayal. It is not putting you down. This is the only how we're going to move forward based on what we're seeing happening. Yeah. I got another WhatsApp, but let me keep up here. Hey, Missy Ebanks, how are you? Denver says, it's called don't hang your hat higher you can reach. That's an old Caymanian saying, boy. 75 years ago, the norm was for women to be housewives and homemakers. Today, we need a dual income household to support families or just to make ends meet. Cayman Islands are not exempt. No, you're quite right. You are quite right. Damien says, that pattern is a world issue, not just limited to the Cayman Islands. Yep. And this is why in regards to this conversation, I only give ideas, or I try to do it relatable that we can see here in Cayman. But of course, I'm being as broadly as I can, not just being specific. So, but yeah, you're quite right. And it's all over. This is why even when our young men and women or people migrate to other countries, they realize, oh my God, I thought the grass was greener on the other side, but actually I had life made back home. Oh my God, time is running. Live happy. How are you? We must stop trying to change people's lives and instead try to improve people's lives. Yes, not everyone wants their life changed, rather improve. You're quite right. Denver says, hence my comment above, though. There we go. Thank you for that. Creating opportunities or equipping people with tools to make their lives better as a society and community. I cannot afford to feed a man a fish every day, but I can give him a fishing pole and he can fish for life. You're quite right. Well, let me tell you something. That brings me to the end of today's episode of Sabrina Speaks. And oh my gosh, how time flies. I want to thank you. There was another one. Hold on. I missed one. Sabrina, we need to break the pattern of not talking about mental health. Oh my gosh. Yes. And this is coming from a listener. Yeah. I agree with you. Absolutely. Let me try to do this as quickly as possible. I agree with you. Absolutely. And it has become a stigma. And it is common in many cultures. Thank God we are more relaxed right now. We're talking about mental health here in the Cayman Islands as we continue again with public awareness, education, open dialogue. You see the difference? You see the difference? You're not stigmatized anymore. And especially in our small communities where people who are impacted by that can feel ostracized. But as I wrap up this evening, and in regards to this, providing you some feedback with that, breaking the patterns, to be honest with you, starts with normalizing conversations, which we are beginning to do as it pertains to mental health, and not diagnosing people. Let's start with the conversation instead of diagnosing them. But yes. At the end of the day, we all got a job to do, and I'm hoping that you found this episode of Sabrina Speaks beneficial today. I hope that it actually caused you to reflect. I hope that it actually caused you or allowed you to be able to see the future as a brighter one if we consider implementing some of these things to create an environment that is conducive for yielding us results that can benefit everyone, definitely. So we talked about, of course, breaking patterns and building people. But I want us all to remember that we do not even have to break everything at once. Small steps. Today was the beginning of that. We took our first step today. We just need to break the one thing that is breaking each one of us. Take it in small strides. Yeah. And when we grow, guess what? We give others permission to grow as well. As little as you may actually want to believe that. That's a fact. It has been my pleasure bringing you another episode of Sabrina Speaks on this Wednesday evening. I don't hear the rain, but I want you all who are out there on the roads to be safe. I want to thank you all for your contribution, your participation, for all of your WhatsApps, for you weighing in, and for your continued support. Tomorrow is Thursday. I'll be more than happy to come back as we continue to build a space together, grow, learn, motivate, and encourage each other. For the rest of you, good night. God bless. Love you lots. See you tomorrow.
That's a wrap for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks. Thank you for tuning in and for being part of the conversation. Remember, the dialogue doesn't stop here. Stay engaged, stay informed, and most importantly, stay empowered. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m., same time, same place, right here on CMR TV and radio, where your voice matters and your truth is heard. Until then, Cayman, take care of yourself and each other.
That's it for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks, where your voice matters, your story counts, and your truth is always welcome. Join us weekdays from 5 until 6:30 p.m. right here on CMR TV as we dive into the topics that matter most to you. Catch the show live or on demand at cmrtv.com And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram so you never miss a moment. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and always speak your truth.